Tonight it's a tale of two rebuilds, one rising, one reeling. Cade Cunningham and the Red Hot Pistons look to extend their six-game win streak, while the 1-9 Wizards limp into Detroit without Colabley. Can Washington find a spark, or will Detroit continue its Eastern Conference ascent? The Hardwood Report starts right now. And greetings from our Temecula studios. Welcome to the Hardwood Report. I'm Ryder Bullock. Tonight we tip off with a tale of two teams heading in very different directions. The Washington Wizards, sitting at 1-9 and dead last in the Eastern Conference, travel to Detroit to face the surging Pistons, who are off to a blazing 8-2 start and currently hold the top spot in the East. Let's start with the bottom line. Detroit is favored by 11.5 points, and the over-under is set at 235. The Pistons are riding a three-game home win streak and looking to extend their dominance. Last season, Detroit finished 44-38 and showed strength in converting turnovers into points, averaging 19 per game. Their balance was a weapon too, contributing over 40 points a night. Washington, on the other hand, is still searching for answers. They wrapped up last season with a dismissal 18-64 record and gave up a staggering 120.4 points per game. Defensive lapses and poor shooting defense, 47.1% allowed from the field, have carried over into this season. Detroit will be without key contributors tonight. Isaiah Stewart out with an ankle injury. Marcus Sasser a hip injury. Tobias Harris out with an ankle. Jaden Ivey out with a knee injury are all sidelined. That's a lot of firepower missing, but the Pistons have shown depth early this season. Washington's Bio Colabley is out with a leg injury, further thinning a roster that's already struggling to compete. Keep an eye on Detroit's ability to capitalize on Washington's turnovers and dominate second chance opportunities. If the Pistons can maintain their bench production and control the tempo, they should cruise to a win. For the Wizards, it's about finding defensive stops and limiting Detroit's transition game. Then later tonight, the Los Angeles Clippers host the Atlanta Hawks in a late-night showdown at 10:30 Eastern. The Clippers are looking to snap a three-game losing streak, while the Hawks aim to climb above 500 and shake off some early season inconsistency. Last season, the Clippers were a powerhouse at home, going 30-11 in Inglewood and finishing 50-32 overall. They thrived off turnovers, averaging 19.3 points per game, and their bench chipped in with over 31 points a night. Atlanta, meanwhile, wrapped up last season at 40-42 and struggled on the road with a 19-23 record. But don't sleep on their offense. They averaged 118.2 points per game, including 55.1 in the paint and 17.2 on fast breaks. If they get rolling, they can be tough to contain. The Clippers are dealing with a few day-to-day injuries. Kobe Sanders with the knee, Jordan Miller with a hamstring, and Kawhi Leonard is listed under injury management. That last one could be a game-time decision, and we know how much Leonard's presence can shift the momentum. Atlanta's injury list is longer and more concerning. Trae Young is out with a knee injury, and that's a major blow to their offensive rhythm. Jalen Johnson, Luke Kennard, Kristaps Porzingis, and Nikola Durosic and Nickeil Alexander-Walker are all day-to-day with various elements. Depth will be tested tonight. The key for the Clippers is regaining their defensive edge and getting production from their bench. If Kawhi suits up, expect a more balanced attack. For Atlanta, it's about pushing the pace and exploiting transition opportunities. Without Trae Young, they'll need someone to step up as a playmaker. More on those games in a moment, but first, here's what's trending in the NBA. At halftime of Sunday night's game at Xfinity Mobile Arena, the Detroit Pistons appeared headed for defeat, trailing the energized Philadelphia 76ers despite having the advantage of rest. The Sixers were executing well, moving the ball and hitting shots while Detroit struggled to match their intensity. However, the second half saw a dramatic shift led by Cade Cunningham's explosive performance. After scoring just 2 points in the first half, Cunningham erupted for 24 in the second, including a highlight dunk over former teammate Andre Drummond. His efforts propelled the Pistons to a 111-108 comeback win, extending their streak to 6 games and making their best start to a season in 2 decades. Cunningham, reflecting on the team's turnaround from a 14-68 season 2 years ago, emphasized belief and resilience. He credited the team's growth and chemistry, noting that many players have always been winners at various levels and are now finding success together in the NBA. His leadership and consistency, leading the league in assists and delivering standout performances, have been central to Detroit's resurgence. Jalen Duren also played a pivotal role, contributing 21 points and 16 rebounds. His scoring average has jumped significantly this season, and he's become a defensive anchor, helping Detroit rank 3rd in defense through 10 games. Coach J.B. Bickerstaff praised Duren's rim protection, communication, and playmaking, calling him a connector for the team. Both Cunningham and Duren have endured the franchise's recent struggles and now find themselves atop the Eastern Conference standings, trailing only the reigning champion Oklahoma City Thunder. Their shared experience and determination have fueled Detroit's rise, and the team remains focused on long-term success. Cunningham concluded by reaffirming his commitment to growth, saying that while the strong start is encouraging, the team's goals extend far beyond early season wins. With a mindset rooted in hard work and belief, the Pistons aim to keep building towards something greater. In Orlando, Magic point guard Jalen Suggs will not play tonight against the Portland Trail Blazers as the team remains cautious with Suggs' left knee. Suggs is out due to left knee injury management. He will miss his 3rd game this season, each coming in back-to-back sets. Suggs had 20 points and 8 rebounds in 29 minutes during Sunday's 111-107 loss to Boston. Suggs underwent arthroscopic surgery to remove a cartilage fragment in his left knee in March. He is averaging 12.1 points and 4.4 assists in 20.8 minutes in 8 games this season. Stephen Curry missed his 3rd consecutive game due to illness as the Golden State Warriors cruised to a 114-83 win over the depleted Indiana Pacers on Sunday night. Despite his absence, Curry is expected to return for tomorrow's matchup against the Oklahoma City Thunder, which begins a demanding 6-game road trip across 5 cities. Curry reportedly fell ill following the team's recent road swing through Indianapolis and Milwaukee. Although he played through the sickness in a win over the Phoenix Suns earlier in the week, he admitted to feeling drained in the second half. He then missed subsequent road losses to Sacramento and Denver, staying home to recover. Initially listed as questionable for Sunday's game, Curry was ultimately ruled out by the Warriors medical staff, who chose to err on the side of caution. Head coach Steve Kerr confirmed post-game that Curry should be ready for the upcoming road trip. Golden State started the season strong at 4-1, but had dropped 4 of its last 5 games entering Sunday. The team had also lost 8 straight games without Curry, including playoff matchups, but managed to snap that streak against a Pacers squad missing key players like Pascal Siakam, following their own loss in Denver the night before. So that's what's trending in the NBA, and now we move to something somber. There are few figures in the game of basketball whose names echo through the generations with the same quiet dignity as Lenny Wilkens. He was never the loudest man in the room, nor the flashiest presence on the floor. Yet whether with a basketball in his hand or a chipboard under his arm, his voice, calm, measured, confident, carried more weight than most who ever shouted. Lenny Wilkens, a 3-time Hall of Famer as a player, as a coach, and a part of the fabled 1992 U.S. Olympic Dream Team, has passed away at the age of 88. His family said he was surrounded by loved ones when he died. For more than 4 decades, Wilkens was the embodiment of grace under pressure, first as a silky, cerebral point guard, then as one of the NBA's greatest architects from the sideline. His was a career of first and forevers, the first man to win 1,000 games as a head coach, the coach who guided the Seattle Supersonics to their only NBA title in 1979, and the only person ever enshrined in the Basketball Hall of Fame 3 times. And through it all, he did it with class. "Leaders don't yell and scream," he once said. "They lead." Born in Brooklyn in 1937, Wilkins owned his craft on the city's playgrounds before starting at Providence College and entering the NBA in 1960. Over 15 seasons, he became one of the finest floor generals of his era, a 9-time All-Star whose game was defined not by athletic dominance, but by intellect and poise. Then came the second act, one that would define him even more. As a coach, Wilkins carried himself with a statesman's calm and a teacher's heart. He won more games than anyone in league history at that time, 1,332, a record surpassed only by Don Nelson and Greg Popovich. But for those who played for him, what endured wasn't the number of victories, it was the way he made them feel. Steve Kerr, who played under Wilkins in Cleveland, said it best. He was such a dignified human being, a great leader with this quiet confidence. He'd been through a lot in life, and yet he carried himself with incredible grace. That grace was especially evident in Seattle, the city that became his second home. There he was not just a coach, but a civic treasure, a man whose statue now stands outside Climate Pledge Arena, symbolizing not just basketball success, but community leadership. His foundation supports the Odessa Brown Children's Clinic, changed lives far beyond the court. When the Supersonics left Seattle in 2008, many said a part of the city's soul went with them. But the part that remained, the part that still believes in the game's power to bring people together, that's Lenny Wilkins' legacy. He once told the story of how he stumbled into coaching almost by accident, agreeing to serve as a player coach for the Sonics in 1969 after a president general manager convinced him to give it a try. A few games in, down late against Cincinnati, Wilkins drew up a play that tied the game and helped his team win in overtime. "I was like, wow," he recalled. "I just had done something as a coach that helped us win, not as a player." It was the beginning of a journey that would help shape the modern NBA. A league that today prizes leadership, intellect, and integrity as much as skill. Lenny Wilkins leaves behind his wife Marilyn, their children Leisha, Randy, and Jamie, and 7 grandchildren. But he also leaves behind something larger and ideal, that a true leader need not raise his voice to be heard, that excellence and humility can coexist, and that the measure of a man, in sports as in life, is not how loudly he commands a room, but in how deeply he earns respect. Lenny Wilkins never had to tell you he was special, he simply showed you. And for generations of players, coaches, and fans, he always will. Hard to talk about basketball after that, but I think the coach would want us to. And let's not sugarcoat it. The Wizards are a mess. They're 1-9. They've lost 8 straight, and they're walking into Detroit without Coloblay, arguably their most promising young piece. This team is trying to rebuild, but it looks more like they're rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. Meanwhile, Detroit, they're rolling. Cade Cunningham is playing like a bona fide superstar. Jalen Duren is a beast on the boards, and even with injuries to Tobias Harris and Isaiah Stewart, they're deep and dangerous. Here's my keys to the game for Detroit. Cade's control. He's averaging 29.2 points and 11.2 assists during the win streak. If he gets downhill and starts cooking in the second half, it curtains. Duren's dominance. With Coloblay out, Washington has no answer for Duren inside. Expect a double-double, maybe even 20-plus boards. Bench boost. Duncan, Robinson, LeVert stepped up last game. If they replicate that, Detroit's depth will overwhelm Washington. How does Washington win this game? Well, McCollum's leadership. He dropped 25 in back-to-back games. He needs to be more than a scorer. He has to be a stabilizer. Sarr's spark. Alex Sarr is the lone bright spot. He leads the team in scoring, rebounding, and blocks. If he can stretch the floor and protect the rim, maybe they hang around, keep it close. They let Dallas heading into the fourth. If they can avoid the late game collapse, they might cover the spread. The state of the Wizards, let's be honest, drafting Trey Johnson, adding CJ and Chris Middleton, it's lipstick on a pig. The rotation's a mess, the defense is awful, and the offense late has been just mind-boggling confusing. They're not just losing, they're getting blown out. Friday's 148-115 loss to Cleveland was embarrassing. Colablay's absence is huge. He's the only guy who brings consistent defensive energy and transition juice. Without him, they're slower, smaller, and less competitive. This is the rise of the Pistons. This is what a rebuild done right looks like. Cade is a closer. Durant is a monster. Bickerstaff has them playing with purpose, even with injuries. They're finding ways to win. They've got the top spot in the East, and they're not just holding it, they're earning it. Here's tonight's pick and play. I'll take the spread, Pistons 11.5. This is a mismatch. Detroit's depth, defense, and star power should bury Washington early. 227.5. I'll take the under on that. And then Cade Cunningham over 27.5 points. He's cooking. And against this defense, he might hit 30 by the third quarter. This is a game between a team that knows who it is and a team that's still searching for identity. Detroit's got the pieces, the poise, and the momentum. Washington, they've got a long season ahead. Tonight, it's not about redemption. It's about survival. And for the Washington Wizards, even this feels like a stretch. That'll do it for tonight's episode of the Hardwood Report. I will see you for Hardwood Report at the half.